Welcome to Afterthoughts, the show where we share our thoughts after the game that we just played, which was...
Is that why it's called Afterthoughts?
That's
why it's called Afterthoughts.
The game that we just played, channeling my inner Perd Hapley, the game that we just played was Moonrakers from Ivy Studio. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We also played with the Binding Ties expansion and the Overload expansion, which was... I love what that adds to the game. Now, Moonrakers base game is just a... I've really fallen in love with it. It
is an achievement to add 2 expansions to a game without adding any clunkiness. And none of this felt like, even with all of the table presence added between the boards and all of the different advanced action cards, it doesn't feel like overloaded.
See what you did there.
It doesn't feel overburdened. I was going to say
it doesn't feel like the name of the expansion.
No, I was going to say it doesn't feel overloaded, and then halfway through that word, I realized that's the name of the expansion.
Yeah.
It does not feel clunky. Like it's really smooth.
Yeah.
They all play into the mechanics of the game that are already there.
Yeah.
I can't wait until you see other things.
Other things, the other expansions coming out. So we know there's one more expansion coming out with the Kickstarter, and then there's rumors of more things, and so Devin knows more than we do. But yeah, this is exciting. I like it.
You felt like you needed to
you did. You
breathe out some stuff at the end of the game.
I should not have done that 5 contract with you. I should have gotten at least 1 prestige.
The 5 contract?
Or the 5 prestige contract. That was...
But you decked out your ship with what you got.
I did, but I should have kept at least
credits.
1 of those.
Yeah, that would have put us both at 6. That would have put you at 7 and me at 6. You would have been ahead of me.
I thought it would have even... Either way.
I was at 2 and you were at 6.
Yeah, to give you 5 was just a huge, huge advantage for you. Obviously.
I felt like the third wheel in this game.
Sometimes you get that where you just
I wasn't playing well. I wasn't able to deck out my deck very well, and like my prestige was like every time I tried, I was like, I just can't do it.
I really spent a long time in the first half of the game
focusing on
building up my ship and my crew with really cards and that. But I was worried when he got to 6 and you and I were both at 2. I was worried that it was not going to work at all, and he was just going to run away, and it was going to be this very bland gameplay where he just charges to the end line, and me and Allison are like, we can't work together. We can't work together.
Did not do well. We tried multiple times.
I also got hurt. It's kind of a wash because I added all of these cards on on my last turn.
Yeah.
Which added a bunch of misses. So in my last hand, I had 3 misses.
Had all of
I also had 3 thrusters. And
I was wondering how you had such a bad draw. I didn't realize you got 3 or 2 more misses, and
those 2.
So one thing that didn't come out this game at all was the ability to get rid of trash cards.
No, he wanted one of his objectives was to trash cards, and he couldn't.
Yeah.
So if I could have gotten this guy out to spend faction rep for an equal number of actions.
Well, you didn't. You only had 1 left though.
Yeah. Right, but I could have spent 1 to draw like I had.
Yeah.
And here I could have discarded a reactor to add. And I guess that would have been a wash with that because it would have gone out.
Yeah.
I'm still shocked that
I could have discarded a reactor to then gain an action.
Yeah. But I actually hurt myself at the end of the game because I realized that I should have discarded it to another player.
You were going to give it back to me?
And I was going to give it back to you.
Aww.
So, I mean, technically, there was a whole card that I could have played that I didn't get a chance to.
Just for my own, look at this deck side. This is my whole deck.
I think Daniel, by the end of it, got more. I think by the end of it, he had more than us.
Where's your deck? Yeah, here, let's compare here.
Yeah. I really do think by the end of it, he had the most.
It's close.
Oh, no,
it's pretty close. It was pretty close.
Yeah, I love those new action cards.
Those are a lot of fun. And then the head-to-head is cool.
Yeah. I liked that.
The flex is cool where you can just get any symbol. And then
the IO spheres were really, you guys really used
that helped me out. On that 5.10 one, when I was able to throw I mean, I rolled originally 5, and I dropped it all the way down to 2.
But then when he rolled the 6, he rolled the
I
3.
can't believe he blocked that. You blocked it and completed the mission, which that blew me away.
Spoiler,
but that also hurt me.
Hopefully they watch Afterthoughts after they
yeah.
But that also hurt me because I needed to, for another contract, to use this to get credits, which would have given me another prestige. There were a couple ways that I could have won had the cards come out just differently.
Yeah. And I felt really good about doing at least one of these small ones because I had enough to give myself 2 more actions or 2 more cards.
We never got a single way to
trash.
To cull our deck.
Yeah. That was rough.
Mine felt a little bloated by the end of it.
Yeah.
It felt cool though. I mean, that on the ones that me and him went through almost our whole decks when we were doing that 5-10.
It was fun to watch those. I like watching engines play out like that. It's very impressive, and even when I lose, I have fun watching.
I think that's because I really like engine builders. I think that I like that about this is it feels like a little engine builder every time you play.
Essentially, that's what deck builders are. Is you are utilizing your deck to build, but not being able to
create a
clean
nice
it
tableau.
up. Not being able to clean up your deck really does affect. Like how
this one isn't as painful as some, unless you get a bunch of missed cards. But this one, the not being able to cull your deck and clean it up is not nearly as painful as just because you
also
still
typically
do have...
in other deck builders though, typically you're only allowed to influence what your hand looks like on your turn. In this one, you get to discard your hand if you're with someone else. So you could go in and provide only a small amount of help on somebody else's contract and then in the same way clean out a bad hand to try and get a better hand. But I mean, I never got any more misses. I only had the 1 miss from the beginning of the game. But there were other times where I wanted to get back to crew or reactors.
Yeah.
And typically I buy more reactors early in the game. And I just didn't really get the ability to.
I had so many thrusters because it's important to draw cards, but then if you don't have reactors to allow you to draw the cards and do something about it, then...
I only had 1 extra reactor. But the thing that's nice about the overload, though, is these ones that are upgraded give you actions as well. You can start to change stuff off.
The crew that gave
and in hindsight, I probably, instead of buying all of these, probably should have
gotten some of those
instead of like the one that... Because I didn't know what we were going for. To be able to change anything to a shield, I had a very shield-heavy hand. Yeah. So if it had gotten back around
That's why I ended up going to this one, because I was like, he would beat me on a shield one.
I was hoping you would go for the damage.
For what, this?
The damage
this one.
Oh, yeah, no. I would have.
But you had all your damage in your
all my damage was... That's when I was like, looking through my discard, I was like, I only have like 1 damage card here. And so I was like, I would have to be fortunate enough to have the right layer to go through my whole deck to get back to those. And I didn't want to chance it. But I thought that would be I thought head-to-head would be a fun way to end it.
Yeah. I think for a shorter game... you play base game, you get the satisfaction of enjoying Moonrakers. But I really like especially Overload adds. Yeah. I really like the extra cards. This is very unique in just allowing and trying to encourage playing together and going on contracts together. I like what this does. And then it's your own reputation. So it's like, what am I doing?
The reputation.
I don't know. It's very unique. I don't feel like this is mandatory with the game as far as like, I don't feel like, I know I can play the game without Binding Ties and be completely like, this is a great game.
But you never want to not play without Overload.
I really like what Overload adds and all the cards. I don't really want to play again without Overloads. I can play again without.
My thing that I think about with stuff like this though is, I feel like if you play Moonrakers base or Moonrakers base with just Overload, it's a game that you're like, oh, we're going to play it and another game on game night. Yeah. But I feel like if you play this with 2 or 3 expansions, this is kind of the game you're playing because it doesn't add complexity, but it does add time. And because you're going to make more nuanced decisions.
There's way more decisions.
Yeah. But one of the brilliant things about Moonrakers in general, and especially with these expansions, is even though in this game, I don't know what the edit will be on this, but this game took 2.5 hours to shoot. Mm-hmm. It does not feel like it took that long because there's no doubt because you are every single turn. Yeah, you are looking for ways to interact with it. You're always playing the game.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So it's,
because you can interact with others the whole time.
So many games have dead turns, and this has turns like if you choose not to go in on a contract or they don't agree with your negotiation, then you're not in it, so you're not going to be playing your own cards. But you still are invested in like what, like I mean,
I've enjoyed watching you guys play.
Yeah, when we did the 5 and 10 contract, like intense. I think you were just as excited as we were seeing that play out.
Yeah, and it's very like the way you managed, the way you laid your cards out was like, well, I don't know if I would. There's probably way more turns that I was like, I probably could have done something different. I could have utilized my reputation track better, because I can do things to add an extra action or an extra card. And I should have done that a few more times.
It's nice to save it, though. Like, when I was able to get that free point there, it was like, I jumped up to 7 and then to 8, which put me in a much more comfortable position.
I was hoping to be able to do that and go in with you in that last one to be just come up a little bit more. I knew I wasn't going to win at that point, but I just wanted to be a little higher on the prestige track. Now, I've enjoyed this game every time I've played. I have not played a deck builder that I haven't loved.
Yeah. Well, I think also the cool thing about Overload is it's not that it just adds more cards. It completely changes the dynamic of some parts of the game. Like, when he did the mission on his own, he rolled 6 hazard dice. In base Moonrakers, that's a death sentence.
Yeah, definitely.
That is a death sentence. There is no way to get around that. But he had a double block. He had a block plus an action.
Crew.
And because shields are normally like, they don't allow you to do anything else. Yeah. They really are just defensive. But because you were able to have such a high output.
Block 2, I had.
I can't believe he was able to do that. That blew my mind.
Crazy. That was crazy.
But it's possible with this deck. Yeah.
And it's fun to see, even though we're not hoping he wins, it was fun to see that he was able to do that because it was impressive.
Even though you, like you were saying, even though you typically want to get up higher to get those other bonuses, having them even just a little bit means that, like, when he was struggling and he needed just a little bit more boost on that heavy shield,
he was able to
sacrifice it to get to it.
It gets you out of that just little, the cards.
That little
gets you
boost.
Out of just your deck.
But he wouldn't have had any of that if he hadn't have gone on contracts with other people.
Yeah,
because that's how you get I don't know.
So I thought
that
I think a lot of people really cool. had some reticence about Moonrakers when it first came out because they said that
they didn't want to work with anyone.
The negotiation could mess things up. But there are so many ways that they have design-wise tried to shore up any weaknesses that people, like whether they were actually weaknesses or whether they were just perceived by players who just had different game night or game group experiences. They have done everything they can to like boost all of these different elements. And like I said, there's other stuff I can't talk about that I think you will just even more so appreciate what happens.
Yeah, I'm excited about where
I
this
love
is going.
the negotiation and just early on in the game you have to work together, and then we both saw later in the game you're able to take on more. You take on more risk, but you also create more opportunity to to do that. So
the working together is warming up on me. You have to work together on this game, and I like that even though someone definitely is the winner, we are all in it together.
Yeah. No, I think the combination of the upgraded actions, I really actually like the Iosphere combo because I was able to create a really fun
the way
like
they
system
off
there
it was
that was a lot, especially with some of the crew members that work with it. So this was a lot of fun.
Ship expansion or the ship, what was it? The ship part that you had, you ended up discarding it. You added an ion. You could only add 4
to get extra cards.
To get a card, and once it hit 4, you discard the ship part.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, like he did that though. I would have probably done it the same way. I don't know if I would have used it a bit at a time. I would have used it like he did on a contract where you really want something and you just take a bunch of cards.
You had 7 cards.
And this just gives you way. There's ways to catch back up. There's ways to take risks and catch back up. That isn't always the case in other deck builders like battle deck builders. If you're down by a ton, there's some way you just can't get enough to catch back up. So this really gives you ways to
feel like there's still a chance.
And to take a risk because you are drawing cards. Like you may not get it, but you have somewhere in that deck is what you need.
It's somewhere. Yeah.
It's in there.
Yeah.
No, I really enjoy this game. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So this is Moonrakers with the Binding Ties and Overload expansions. We have
We have.
We have
damage. I have drawn much damage.
We have a full playthrough of this. We'll leave a link to that below. Be sure to go watch that. It was a ton of fun.
Yep. Check out the Kickstarter. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.